How you doing, YouTube? Will from Will Development. This is my 346th weekly update. As always, welcome back to Studio A. I don't know if I actually explained this the last couple weeks, but my ceiling fan light in Studio A, which is my bedroom, went out. It was the weirdest thing because the fan was still working, but the light wouldn't work anymore. And honestly, I probably could have sort of figured it out to fix it and figure out, rewire it and everything. But honestly, I always thought it was a pretty ugly fan. The color in the room is like this kind of eggshell tannish color, and then the ceiling is white. And I always hated the fact that I had like this red and gold fan. It didn't match the room. Even though my color scheme doesn't really match anyway. I have like a black nightstand with a wood grain dresser here anyway. So it doesn't really matter. But honestly, I was just like, screw it, I'll just get a new one. So I just bought a new one. And I had it like 2 weeks ago. And I finally installed it on Sunday. I think it was Sunday I did it. Yeah, on Sunday I finally actually installed this stupid thing. And so now we have light again. Big difference, so this one only has the capability of one bulb, whereas my old fan did have 4 sockets. So I don't think you can really tell the difference here. Maybe the reflection off the back poster here might cause some issues, but other than that, I think Studio A is back in business. So for the immediate future, these updates will be coming from here. So welcome back to Studio A. So this week, still dealing a little bit with that left lat of mine here. Honestly, the biggest hindrance it has been was on my squats yesterday, and then sleeping this whole week, because especially on Tuesday and Wednesday night, this thing it actually, when I laid down, normally the pain would kind of go away, but when I laid down on Wednesday night, it actually kept me awake for like another 15-20 minutes until I finally just fell asleep. And that's not me. Normally I lay down, I'm down, I'm out, I'm done. That was not the case on Wednesday night. And it made me wake up, and Thursday it hurt. It was constantly hurting. It was hurting to breathe again. And there was all this pain still. But I'll roll into that. Monday was squats and deadlifts, and it was sort of a deload for both of them in anticipation for... Actually, no, not deadlifts, I'm sorry, just squats. It was a deload in anticipation for Thursday to PR. Now, these are recent PRs, form changes. I've wrapped my thumb around the bar now. It's high bar. It's a more narrow stance. I've changed a lot of things about the way I squat over the last year, and all of them have been contributing to better form, whatever form means, right? And then stronger movement patterns in the actual exercise of the squat. The biggest thing for me being keeping that chest nice and tight, nice and up, which basically just means keeping the upper back strong. Been my biggest weakness on squats since forever. And switching to high bar is just because I feel like it's going to, although it will more than likely cause me to move less weight, in general, I feel that it will translate to strongman movements a little bit more. Even though there's generally no squat contested in strongman very often. There is a squat lift, but it's a very different type of squat. Usually it's not even below parallel, if it is to parallel, that is, and usually it's some sort of implement where you're starting from the bottom and you're going up, or you're doing it with an axle, which is a very different squat movement anyway. It changes the way the weight sits on you and the way you have to put your hands. So it's one of those things where that's a if and when that that sort of lift is contested, that's when I start training them that way, and that will probably be more low bar positioning, just because that would also shorten my range of motion come comp day. Pro tip, if you're doing a squat competition and they actually do adjust heights per person, when you're getting your heights, put it on your back high bar, and then when you actually do it, do low bar. And you just cheated to get 2 extra inches. That's a not pro tip. That's free. 2 less inches of range of motion right there, which doesn't sound like a lot, and it might not change anything at the end of the day, but if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So keep that in mind. So Monday squats went totally fine, actually. The lat really wasn't bothering me all that much, really at all, on Monday. Tuesday was axle work, and did actually stumble into missing a rep that I really wanted to get. I was doing, I think, sets of 2 with 175 or 180 or some number like that, and it was clean and press, and I did the first set relatively fine. Felt like I honestly had a little bit more in me, and then did the second set, and when I went for the second rep, it just I felt the lat flare up on that second rep I did, and then on the third one it hurt a lot. And then right when I got into the rack position for that that fourth lift, it was just like hurting to the point where putting my arms overhead was painful on that left lat. So that sucked to miss that rep because it really felt like I could have done it. But, you know, it happens sometimes. I've always said that if I get 90% of it, I'm relatively happy. And I know I did state that in this exact programming cycle, my plan was to not miss any reps on anything. And it is disappointing to miss a rep like that, but I'm also taking into account the fact that I do have some sort of hindrance. I don't want to call it an injury because I don't really consider it an injury per se, but it's definitely something I'm working through that is holding me back, and I know the reality is I could do that. And let's say it was not a training environment and it was a comp, I would have forced myself to do it because I knew I had it. But in training, if I can hold back, which is this far out from any competition, being the next one being in July, I'm not gonna like kill myself right now. And it's funny because as I get closer, I also have the opposite mentality where it's like, no, this is not the time to be stupid and possibly injure yourself. So it's a weird sort of dynamic I have going on in my mind, but it's like right now I'm like, no, just stay healthy enough to actually build some strength leading up to the comp, some real strength, some base strength, and then as you get closer to the comp, let's then push it, you know, that extra 1% and see what happens. So that's what happened. Wednesday was off. Thursday was PR day for squats and deadlifts, and like I said, these aren't lifetime PRs. I've squatted 420 before and deadlifted 475. I also weighed 210 when I did the squats and about 200 pounds when I did that deadlift. And I'm walking around right now around 185, pretty consistently. Actually, I call my weight 185 right now because that's just what I'm at. And so things have changed, you know, weight moves weight to some extent. Plus with this lat thing going on. But all that being said, I was very excited because I was able to hit 330 on squat. Pain-free in my hip and lower back, which is where the squats used to really irritate me. Unfortunately, that lat really flared up when I hit around 275 as a warm-up weight, and it just flared up so bad, really sucked, and I just kind of gritted my teeth and got through it, hit 315, and I was like, cool, let's go up to 330, and went up to 330 because I was like, I really feel like I have that. My goal was to hit 330 at least, so when I actually was able to hit that, and it was great depth, and everything looked good, but it hurt like hell in that lat, I said I'll take it. And then deadlifts, my goal was to hit 435, which is what I pulled in comp. When I first started this program, I wrote my 1 rep max as 405 because I knew that was a weight I could do perfectly. And I wanted to slowly ramp into it. And so I said, if I pull 435 today, I'll be happy. More is always better, but let's be realistic here, and let's say I can pull 435. I want 435 to be my everyday weight, whereas I knew 405 was my everyday weight, and worked up to it. When I pulled 400, it was a little slower than I would have liked, but it was perfect. And then just went up to 435, and it was slow, but it was good. So I called it there. I was like, all right, that's enough. And with the way the lat was feeling, the legs were a little tired. It is what it is. I'm And I'm still happy to have pulled those numbers. And they don't seem like a lot right now, but, it's all just building blocks. I'm really working on being honest with myself and where I am with certain movements. And just slowly building and not pushing anything unless I absolutely have to. Saving 100% for the comp, essentially. Because even that 435, although I pulled it slow, I could tell I still had a few more pounds in me. Probably could have pulled 445 maybe even. And with that 330, I definitely had way more in the tank from that 330. But with the way the lat was feeling, and I was like, it is a PR. Let's just build. What's wrong with going up, 10, 15 pounds on this every month if it takes that long? There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? If you can put on 10 pounds on both those lifts every month, in a year, you've put on 120 pounds on both of those lifts, and that's very impressive. That's not how it's going to work, but I have no problem building up super slow like that. And then today, did some log work. I was doing incline bench, and I said, that's kind of dumb. Why don't I just do another overhead day? And I said, why don't I work with another implement that I really suck at? So I said, let me work with log. And now this last kind of cycle, I was like, I want to do strict pressing mostly with the log because I'm doing a lot of push pressing and jerking with the axle. So I wanted to have some sort of strict pressing to work with. And last week I was actually working around 170 for strict pressing with the log, which felt good. And then this week was a little 1 rep max thing, and worked up to basically 175. I really wanted 180, but it wasn't going to happen today, I could tell. So 175 there on a strict press with the log is good. This next phase I'm going to implement push pressing on the log more because it is a big weakness of mine, and the reality is I'll be able to move more weight with a push press on the log. And there's no reason I can't do strict pressing, let's say on one part of it and then push pressing on the other part. Say the main movement is strict and then do push pressing for the other. Just to work on that movement a little bit more because, like I said, I know I've got more weight in me if I would just push press the damn thing. But it's a very hard implement to actually push press with. It's a hard implement to really get used to. It takes a while because it's just so large and everything's big and awkward, really. That's just the long and short of it. Had a deload on Saturday for stones. Went great. And then stones tomorrow will be a fun stone day because it'll be a bit of a medley. I'll be going from a light stone to a medium stone, and then doing some actual work with a heavier stone. So the 200, I'll be playing with that for a few reps, which will be good. And I need that because I got a pretty heavy stone over bar coming up soon. So need to be able to at least get that for a couple. So yeah, that's it this week. Recorded and uploaded all the videos for the last 2 comps for Orlando's and Miami's. They are scheduled to release in order, talking about Orlando's, then the footage from Orlando's, talking about Miami's, then the footage from Miami. So over the course of the next 4 weeks, I guess let's just say 3 weeks now because one dropped on Wednesday. Every Wednesday, 1 a.m. they will release. So go check them out if you're curious. You'll see the Miami one's a bunch of fails, and then one pretty shitty yoke and farmer's run. And then the Orlando ones, I didn't actually fail any. I didn't zero any event. Didn't do really as well as I would have hoped. But go check those videos out if you're curious about the full breakdowns on how I felt about each competition, that sort of thing. And yeah, that's it. That's it for today. That's enough talking, right? 15 minutes is a long-ass video. So thanks for sticking around. Yeah. Set rules for your training, but understand that nothing is set in stone because, unfortunately, you're human, I'm human, we're all human. So even though I said no missing, it's still a possibility, and the reality is it's going to happen eventually, and there's nothing wrong with that. Adjust accordingly, and if you don't, then what's your excuse?